Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty tricky. English grammar. And specifically prepositions, articles, and tenses.
Oh yeah, the building blocks.
Basic English grammar. And it's packed with insights.
That really is. It's amazing how we use grammar every day, but don't often stop to think about it.
Right. It's just something we do.
Yeah.
So this deep dive will help you apply it more effectively in your own writing and speaking.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get started. We're going to start with prepositions today.
Okay.
They seem small, but they can really change the meaning of a sentence.
Oh, absolutely. And they can be super tricky for English language learners because they don't always translate directly.
Lingua Marina actually starts her video off with a prepositional dilemma.
Okay.
Being at or in a farmer's market.
Oh, yeah.
And I've definitely made that mistake before.
Well, what's interesting is that in versus at often shows how immersed you are in a place.
Oh, okay.
So in means you're really surrounded, like in a forest.
Okay.
But at the forest means you're probably at the edge, like you're about to go in.
Like you're a visitor.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I get it. So like being in the hospital as a patient versus at the hospital for a visit.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's all about the nuance.
It is. It is.
Cool. Now, Lingua Marina also talks about beside and besides.
Oh, those are good ones. They sound similar but mean very different things.
Yeah, I always mix those up. Can we just go over it one more time?
Yeah, so beside means next to. Literally.
Right.
Like the cat sat beside her owner. But besides means in addition to.
Oh.
So like besides packing snacks, we also brought a blanket.
Oh, okay.
So it's adding something extra.
Got it.
Okay.
What about among and between?
Another tricky pair.
Yeah.
But Lingua Marina has a good tip. She says among is for 3 or more things or people. Yeah. Like the toys were scattered among the children. But between is specifically for 2 things.
Okay.
Like I'm choosing between the red dress and the blue one.
Okay, so among is for a crowd.
Yes.
And between is for a pair.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Now, what about when we're talking about transportation?
Okay.
Lingua Marina mentions being in a car, but on a bus.
Right.
What's the difference there?
Well, it might be because you're more enclosed in a car, but on a bus, you're more exposed and you can often stand up.
So it's about, like, how enclosed you are.
You could be, yeah. Like you're on a moving platform almost.
That's interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get prepositions a little better now.
Good.
What about articles?
Articles? Oh, yes. Articles are another one that can be tricky.
Because they're so small, but so important.
Exactly. And some languages don't even have articles.
Right. So it's no wonder English learners struggle with a and the.
Yeah, it can be tough.
So let's see if we can make it a little easier to understand. Okay.
What are some of the key takeaways that we can focus on?
Well, Lingua Marina says that articles are all about being specific.
Yeah.
So a or an is for something general. Like a cat could be any cat.
Right.
But the is for something specific. Like the cat means we both know which cat we're talking about.
Like my cat.
Exactly.
Okay. So a or an is for something new. And the is for something we already know.
Yes.
Got it. Now, what about when we use a versus an?
That depends on the sound of the word.
The sound.
Yeah, not just the letter. So it's an apple,
Okay.
but a banana because of the vowel sound.
Oh, that's right. It's about how the word sounds, not just the letter.
Exactly. And remember, we only use a or an with singular noun.
Oh, right. So you wouldn't say a cat.
No, you wouldn't.
Okay, good to know. What about uncountable nouns like milk or porridge?
Yes, those can be tricky too. We usually don't use articles with uncountable nouns.
So you'd say, I love milk.
Exactly. Not I love a milk. Okay. But Lingua Marina says we use the with uncountable nouns when we're being specific.
You're right. Like the milk from that store is the best.
Okay. So again, it's all about context.
It is.
And being specific or general.
Yes.
Now, I know there are some exceptions when it comes to articles. Like we always use the for things that are one of a kind.
Right. Like the sun, the moon, the internet.
Okay.
And we use the with superlatives like the tallest building because there's only one.
And what about proper nouns, like names?
We usually don't use articles with names like Tuesday or London.
Okay, but what about names with multiple words, like the United States?
Yes. Those do use the because they're referring to a specific group of states.
Okay, so there are always exceptions to the rule.
It seems that way.
What are some common mistakes you see learners making?
Well, one is using the too much, especially with general statements. Remember, the is for specific things.
Okay. And another mistake
is knowing when to omit articles altogether, especially with uncountable nouns.
Right. It takes practice, but you start to get a feel for it.
You do.
Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot of ground with prepositions and articles.
We have.
Are you ready to tackle tenses now?
I think so.
Okay. Lingua Marina gives us some great tips for understanding tenses.
She does.
Especially those marker words that help us know which tense to use.
Oh, yes. Those are really useful.
So let's start with the simple tenses.
Okay.
What's the deal with the present simple?
Well, the present simple is for habits, routines, and general truths.
Okay.
Like, I eat breakfast every day, or the earth is round.
So it's for things that are always true or that happen regularly.
Exactly.
And Lingua Marina gives us some marker words to look for.
Yes.
Like every day, often, never, sometimes. If you see those words, present simple might be the right tense.
Right. It's all about those regular occurrences.
Okay. What about the past simple? How is that different?
Past simple is for completed actions in the past, and we use it when the specific time is important. Like I went to the store yesterday.
So it's about telling a story in the past.
Exactly.
And we have marker words for this tense too, right?
We do. Last week ago in 2005.
Okay.
All those point to a specific time in the past.
Now, what about the future simple? That one always seems a bit tricky.
Yeah, because it deals with the future, and we don't always know what will happen.
Right.
But Lingua Marina says the future simple is often used when we're not 100% certain about something.
Oh.
It's for possibilities and predictions, like I will call you later.
Yeah.
But plans can change.
That's true. So it's not for things that are definitely going to happen.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
If it's something on a fixed schedule, like the train leaves at 8 a.m., we might use the present simple.
Oh, okay. So the present simple can be used for future events too.
Yeah, if it's a fixed schedule or timetable.
Interesting. And what are some marker words for the future simple?
Tomorrow, next week, in an hour, soon, later.
Okay, so those all point to something that will happen in the future. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a better grasp on the simple tenses now.
Good.
Let's move on to the more dynamic tenses.
Okay.
What about the present progressive?
The present progressive. This one is all about actions happening right now. Okay. I am recording this podcast, or you are listening to this podcast.
It's like we're capturing a moment in time.
Exactly.
And some marker words for this tense are now, at the moment, and currently.
Right. It's all about what's happening in the present moment.
So it's like hitting the pause button on life and describing what's happening?
Yes.
Okay, I get it. Now this brings us to the tense that everyone loves to hate.
Oh, yeah.
The present perfect.
The present perfect. It's true. It can be a bit of a challenge.
Lingua Marina even says it's her students' least favorite.
Well, it's all about the relationship between the past and the present.
Okay.
And she explains that the present perfect isn't about the specific time something happened, but rather its result or impact on the present moment.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see why it's so tricky.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just about when something happened, but how it affects us now.
Exactly.
So instead of saying, I ate pizza yesterday, which is past simple,
right,
you might say, I have eaten pizza, meaning you're full right now.
Exactly. It's all about the lasting impact.
Like the pizza is still with you.
Yes. It's about those consequences or those ripple effects from the past that are still felt in the present.
And we have some special marker words for this tense too.
We do. Ever, never, already, yet, recently, lately.
Okay, so those words often signal that we're dealing with the present perfect.
They do. They do.
This is making a lot more sense now.
Good.
It's not just about grammar rules.
No.
But about painting a richer picture of our experiences.
Exactly.
And how they shape us.
That's the beauty of it.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But we're just getting started with the present perfect.
Yes, there's still more to explore.
So be sure to join us for part 2 of this grammar adventure, where we'll delve even deeper into the present perfect.
It'll be good. And unlock its secrets.
Absolutely.
See you there.
See ya.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're still swimming in the sea of English grammar.
That's right.
And today we're going to really tackle the present perfect tense.
Okay.
This is the one that Lingua Marina called her students' least favorite.
It's true. The present perfect can be a little confusing, but it's also incredibly useful.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
First, can you remind us how to actually form the present perfect tense?
Sure. The basic formula is have or has plus the past participle of the main verb.
Okay, so for example, I have eaten.
Exactly. or she has finished.
Okay, and it's important to use the right form of have or has, right?
Yes, definitely. It depends on the subject of the sentence. So it's I have, you have, we have, they have, but he has, she has, and it has.
Right, right. And what about those irregular verbs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those can be tricky. Their past participles don't always follow the regular ed pattern.
So like go, went, gone.
Exactly. Or bring, brought, brought.
Okay, so we might need to memorize some of those irregular past participles.
It can be helpful, yeah. Especially for exams like TOFEL or IELTS.
Good point. Now, what about forming questions and negative statements with the present perfect?
Okay, so for questions, we invert the subject and the helping verb have or has.
So instead of you have eaten,
it becomes have you eaten.
Okay. And for negative statements,
we simply add not after have or has. So I have not eaten yet.
Got it. So the word order changes a bit, but the basic structure stays the same.
Exactly.
Now, Lingua Marina mentions that in formal writing, we should avoid contractions.
Right. So instead of haven't, we should write have not.
And has not instead of hasn't.
Exactly. It's all about using the full forms in those formal contexts.
Okay, so formal grammar for exams and essays.
Yes.
And casual grammar for everyday conversations.
Exactly.
Now let's get back to the meaning of the present perfect.
Okay.
It's all about connecting the past to the present, right?
Right. It's about actions that started in the past, but have a result or relevance in the present moment.
Like Lingua Marina's example, I have lost my keys.
Mm-hmm. Meaning you're still locked out now.
Right. So the action of losing the keys happened in the past, but the consequence is still affecting you in the present.
Exactly.
Okay, can you give us another example?
Sure. How about she has traveled to 20 countries?
Okay, so that means she has a lot of travel experience.
Right, and that experience is still with her today. It's part of who she is.
I see. So the present perfect isn't just about when something happened, but about the lasting impact or the continuing relevance.
Exactly. It's about how the past shapes the present.
And it's also often used for unfinished time periods, right?
Yes, like I have been to the cinema twice this week.
So the week isn't over yet and you might go again.
Right. It implies that there's still time for more cinema trips.
And we also use the present perfect for experiences in general, right?
Yes, like I have never eaten sushi, or I have visited Paris 3 times.
Okay, so it's for things we've done or haven't done in our lives.
Exactly. It's about those impactful moments that have shaped our experiences.
This is all starting to make a lot more sense now.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
But I know the present perfect can get even more complex.
Oh, yes. There's still more to learn.
Like the present perfect continuous.
That's right.
Should we talk about that now or save it for later?
Let's take a quick review of the present perfect first.
Okay, good idea. So just to recap, the present perfect is about connecting the past to the present.
Yes.
We use it for actions with a result in the present, for unfinished time periods.
Right.
And for experiences that have shaped our lives.
Exactly.
Okay, I think I'm ready for the present perfect continuous now.
Okay, let's dive in.
All right, so we're back and ready to tackle the present perfect continuous.
Okay.
This is like the present perfect's more intense cousin, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's like we're taking a magnifying glass to the present perfect timeline.
Okay.
And focusing on actions that have been happening continuously.
So before we get too deep, can you just remind us how to form this tense?
Sure. It's have or has plus been plus the ing form of the verb.
Okay, so for example, I have been studying.
Exactly, or she has been working.
Okay, so we're adding been and using the ing form.
Yes. And that emphasizes the continuous nature of the action.
So how is this different from the regular present perfect?
Well, both tenses connect the past to the present.
Right.
But the present perfect continuous really stresses that the action has been happening over a period of time.
So it's about the process of the action, not just the result.
Exactly. Like Lingua Marina's example. I have been living in London for 5 years.
Okay.
That means you're still living in London, and the action of living there has been continuous.
So it's about the ongoing effort or experience.
Exactly.
Okay, can we have another example?
Sure, let's compare. I've read that book versus I've been reading that book.
Okay.
The first one means you finished the book.
Right.
But the second one means you're still reading it.
So it's like a snapshot of an action in progress.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any key words that can help us with this tense?
Yes. With the present perfect continuous, you often see words like all day, for hours, since morning, or how long.
Okay, so those words all emphasize duration.
Exactly. They tell us that the action has been happening for a while.
And for and since are good indicators too.
They are. They often signal that we're talking about something that started in the past and is still continuing.
Okay, so context is key, but these words can be helpful clues.
Yes, definitely.
Now, are there any common mistakes you see learners making with this tense?
One common mistake is using it with stative verbs.
Stative verbs.
Yes, these are verbs that describe states or conditions rather than actions.
Like
love, know, believe, understand.
Okay.
We don't usually use those in continuous tenses.
So you wouldn't say, I've been knowing her for years.
Right. You'd say, I have known her for years.
Okay, makes sense. And another mistake
is using the present perfect continuous when the focus is on the result, not the duration.
Oh.
So if you want to say you finished painting a room, you'd use the present perfect, I have painted the room.
But if you want to emphasize how long you were painting,
then you'd use the present perfect continuous, I have been painting the room all day.
Got it. So it's about choosing the right tense for the emphasis you want.
Exactly.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive has been incredibly enlightening.
It has been fun.
We've covered so much ground, from prepositions to articles to all these tenses.
It's amazing how much there is to learn about English grammar.
And thanks to Lingua Marina's video and your expertise,
You're welcome.
I think we've all gained a much better understanding of these concepts.
I hope so.
So to all our listeners out there, keep practicing, keep exploring, and never stop learning.
That's the key.
Until next time, happy grammar adventures.
Bye.